Hello, hello, and welcome.
Green light.
Welcome to this beautiful day, December 19th.
Feeling low.
Today's Friday. Thankfully, it is Friday. And today, I'm actually hopping on here a little bit earlier than I usually do. I usually hop on at 12 p.m. every single day. Thank you for joining me if you're here with me today. And today I'm doing it at 11 a.m. Reason is my son has this holiday party thing at school. As someone that tries to build the best possible life for myself, I truly want to be at my kids' events and my kids' things. And so I moved this up an hour so that I can make sure I'm there for that little event there. And that's totally fine because you know what? We're not changing anything else about this. We're diving into the 2026 health reset. Things are ramping up. It's becoming time to start thinking about what 2026 is going to look like for you. And we're talking about a sustainable approach, not an absolute bare bones restart from scratch, an actual stable path that you can follow and create yourself for your own body right now. And so thank you so much for being here. Hit the subscribe button, the like button if you're into this, so that more and more people can find this and we can build a healthy, happy 2026 together as a big group of healthy people. But it all starts with really just being intentional. So let's start off this presentation that I have prepared for you today, the 2026 Health Reset. So this is going to be a more sustainable approach to health. This isn't a restart where we break everything down to nothing. We're talking about a real reset where we're basically reframing the way that we think about our health and our habits and everything that goes into it. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you something really cool. It's something I just learned today. I'm constantly trying to improve myself and get better. And today I learned the 4 laws of behavior change from no other than James Clear, who is the author of Atomic Habits, an excellent book about how to shape our habits and shape our behaviors in our life. And I think that this will be very helpful for everyone to hear. That's going to be at the very end of this presentation. So stick around for that. The 4 the behavior change laws is what he calls them. And it has helped me immensely to think about this and to use this as the frame for how I'm going to structure my days in 2026 and beyond. So let's dive in a little bit further here. So here's what we already covered. In this playlist on YouTube, you should see videos that talk about personalized plan and common mistakes that people make and why doing too much often fails, like throwing everything all in at once and overwhelming our body, overwhelming our senses all at once in the beginning of the year ends up failing so many people by February, by March. So this is really about creating a sustainable system that we can stick to for the long term. This is not something where we want to be thinking about a 30-day fix. Instead, we're stepping back, we're thinking about the entire year, and if you're smart, you're thinking even beyond that. See, long-term changes are the things that have the biggest impact on our life. So if we're stuck thinking about the small impact changes that we can make that are short-term or not really going to fulfill us over the long period of time, we're kind of focusing on the wrong areas, in my opinion. And as far as consistency is concerned, it's everything. It's the most important thing, and it's much more important than intensity. Intensity can, get people started or get people moving in the right direction sometimes, but consistency is way more important. And building that consistency in will make or break your entire system. And in fact, having a system around what happens if I fall off the path, what should I do? What's going to get me back on the path if I fall off is something that you should actually have known beforehand, built beforehand, so that when you inevitably break the system or stop doing exactly what needs to be done to make the system work, you can get yourself back on board quickly and easily and back into that consistent routine. Nobody is really on a system or a routine 24/7 no matter what, right? We all have life that happens. There's spontaneity, there's things that come up, there's travel, there's, illness, there's hard times, and there's, fun times that pop up, like opportunities come up. And all of that mixed together makes it so that we can't really expect ourselves to be 100% consistent with anything. That would be crazy. That would mean we live in a very insanely structured little box, and we don't, right? Life does not work that way. So having that consistency mindset, but still allowing for that spontaneity and that the parts of life you can't control will allow you to kind of feel better about the whole process and allow you to get back on the path when you fall off quicker. And identity-based health is the cornerstone of everything we're talking about here. We're not just talking about, changing what you eat for lunch. We're talking about changing who you are as a person and, the types of choices that you make overall because of who you've become, because you've changed your identity into a healthy individual. And that takes time, and it takes a humble process and a humble moving forward every single day into the process. And I learned this the hard way when I had to transform my health back in 2016. That's a story that's all over this channel. If you're interested, just click around, watch any of my videos, and I'm sure you'll get the story pretty quickly. But here's 3 non-negotiables that we should consider for 2026. First of all, simple principles that actually work. We're not talking about just stuff that we're pulling out of thin air here. So non-negotiable number 1 is energy first, right? We're going to focus on things that feed our energy rather than pull from our energy. We're going to allow ourselves to sleep. We're going to allow ourselves to focus on blood sugar balance and eating a healthy diet that doesn't spike our blood sugar too much. And we're going to focus on nervous system regulation. These types of things are the crux of controlling our energy first so that we can have energy to then put into the other areas and, the other non-negotiables that we're about to discuss so that we can stay healthy, keep moving, and get better day by day. As you notice, this isn't about like forcing 1,000 things into your life. This is about actually calming down, sleeping more, thinking more, being more intentional before eating so that you can control your blood sugar, and thinking more and controlling more your nervous system regulation. This requires things like breath work or calming relaxation time to yourself. And I know that's not always doable for everyone every minute of the day, but if you can carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes to go and give yourself that time, that nervous system regulation process will eventually feed itself and continue providing more and more energy for you and allowing your body to slowly get better. It is so valuable and important, and people way underestimate it. But non-negotiable number 2 is boring consistency. And yeah, it is boring to talk about consistency, is it? Just wake up, do the same exact thing every single day, and you'll get there. Like, that's not fun to talk about. It's not sexy. It's not like star-studded and shiny and bright. It is very bland, right? But that's what actually works, is doing the boring things step by step, day by day. For example, who do you think would be better off? Somebody who crams for the test, or somebody that reads a little bit about the subject day by day over the span of 3 months and then has a test? The person that has the longer period of time and the more consistent protocol moving towards their goal will usually get there easier and better and in better shape, and they'll feel fine. Where the person that crams, they stayed up till 3 a.m. to try to get the knowledge and information just in time for that test. And that's a different approach. It's a more intense approach, but it's not necessarily what works the best, right? Especially if you take into account the spread of your whole life, the holistic picture, right? The amount of stress and the amount of time wasting and the amount of people it can affect besides yourself when you start to cram things in like that can change everything, right? But this is about less excitement and more results, right? We're not pumping you up. There's no motivation here. We're not saying get motivated, get pumped up. You're going to take 2026 and make it yours. Well, I could say all that stuff, and I want to say all that stuff. I don't think it actually serves people, and I think it actually pulls away from the goal here, which is to get people to commit to a longer term approach when it comes to their health and when it comes to their well-being, and pretty much when it comes to a lot of other things in life as well, is what I've learned in my personal experience. The better we are at taking a long-term approach and making hard decisions day by day that actually stick with that long-term approach, the better things are over the long term. Shocker, right? But that is how it works. But non-negotiable number 3 is feedback loops, and we've got to do things to make sure that we're setting up feedback loops in our life. Because if we're just focused on the day by day and just making it through the day, but we're not actually tracking anything, we have no signals, we have nothing to aim for, we have no way to adjust, we're just kind of flying in the dark. We need to actually have a roadmap, and we actually need to track what's going on day by day so that we can tell, are we on the right track? Is this working? Are we going, because if you get 3 months in and you're in a completely different place, but it's gotten way worse, that would be a very alarming thing, right? You would want to definitely adjust what you're doing. When it's been 3 months and everything feels worse than it did in the beginning, not good. So we need to track. This is very important. Oftentimes, these little changes add up over time to big changes, but if we're not tracking along the way, we just don't even realize that it's happening. And here's a really cool key that I've learned recently, is that also tracking can serve as a reward mechanism for the habit that you're trying to build, which means then you're more likely to stick to the habit if you track the habit, because it is a reward mechanism. It makes the habit more satisfying for you to do or to complete because you're tracking it, and it's that simple, right? Even if it's just like putting a little star on that day on the calendar because you did the habit, that actually allows people to stick to their habits longer. That's what has been shown. So all of this is to ensure that you can adjust instead of quit when you fall off or when you don't do something perfectly. Instead of quitting everything and throwing your arms up in the air and saying, I'm not going to do any of it, it should be a very quick bounce back to where you were before. And making sure that that's set up beforehand is going to allow you to make it through a lot better. And those feedback loops give us the data that we need to stay, first of all, to stay motivated, to stay on the path, and secondly, to kind of make a game out of it and continue moving forward regardless of what's happening. So this quick little audit, I like doing these audits. A lot of times I come here with questions that we can ask ourselves. I feel that when I ask myself questions, it allows me to step up in my own life, and it allows me to see areas of my life that I wouldn't have otherwise been reflecting on or thinking about when I actually think about these questions and try to answer them. So what drains your energy? For me, what drains my energy the most would probably be just like annoying little tasks that I don't want to do throughout the day, but that's just me. What drains your energy? You could say, it's hanging out with this, it's going to this specific job, it's this specific task that I have to do every day, it's this specific person that I have to talk to every day. I don't know what it is for you, but just make a note of it. And what habit makes everything easier? That's a good question. What habit makes everything else easier? For me, I think going live and making videos every single day is a habit that makes everything else in my life easier, as I'm trying to reach more and more people. And the more content that I create, that helps the more people, and then it kind of makes a ripple effect. The content goes out to more people, and then they can share it with more people, and hopefully if you're making good stuff, it will help as many people as possible. So I think that habit ends up making everything else easier, because it allows me to reach more people, which allows me to continue to help more people, which is my whole goal. If you don't know, I'm trying to help 100,000 people get better from Lyme disease, chronic illness, or any type of tick-borne illness. And I'm well on the path. I just got to stay on the path. It's been a few thousand people, but I got to keep going until I get to 100,000 at least. And it'd be cool to get past that, obviously. But I'm going to keep going and keep showing up to help everybody here on YouTube. I think my videos help a lot of people, but also with LymeWars.com, we help a lot of people with our supplement line over there. So if you're a customer, we appreciate you, love you, and can't wait to start the new year with you as well in 2026. But what wasn't sustainable before, right? We've all had habits or things that we want to do every single day. Then we start doing it every single day and we realize this is probably not the best way to do this. This is too much, and you quit. Or maybe you don't think this is too much. Maybe you don't think I can't do this habit, but you do quit. And so the proof is in the pudding, right? When we stop doing things, it's usually because there's more punishment instead of reward for doing that thing. And so we have to find a way to reward ourselves for that. And that's one piece of it. We're going to talk about the how to actually think about this in a minute. But just understanding that whatever isn't sustainable, it's probably because it was more punishing than it was rewarding. And so if we can make things more rewarding that we want to continue doing, we will stick with them longer. And if we can make things less punishing, obviously, as well, we will stick with it a lot longer. So that is something to think about when it comes to behavior. We're going to talk more about that when we talk about the 4 laws of behavioral change. The emotional side is the fear of failing again, right? It's hard to step up every year and try to get better. It's hard to step up and try to build your body into something that's doing what you want it to do, that's healthy, that's not fatigued, that doesn't have the brain fog, that doesn't have the joint pain. And you want to feel good, but that fear of not making it or not quite getting to where you were, because, let's face it, you haven't been able to so far. So that fear can hold some people back. And I understand that totally, but it's not really a failure to try. We've got to show up and give it our best, because if we don't make it, we'll make it somewhere, right? There's always something to build upon. There's always somewhere to get just by trying to become better versions of ourselves. And, life is all about growth. And if we're not growing, we're dying. We're moving backwards. And so it's really important to keep reaching for growth no matter what. And that's a personal belief of mine, and I'll stick to it. So loss of old identity is also an emotional piece of this. Is like, sometimes we do have to let go of an older version of ourselves, and we do have to just come to grips with the fact that things are changed now, things are different now, and things are going to move forward for this new person. This new me is going to move forward with what I've got. And that loss of old identity can be very emotional, very difficult for people, and it's something that they need to talk through and figure out. I've worked with a lot of people on that specifically. Rebuilding self-trust is also a really difficult emotional thing for a lot of people, because so many people just don't trust themselves at all, and they don't even realize that that's the case. But they say in their head, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to stick to this diet, I'm going to do this exercise, I'm going to stick to this way of living. And then before you know it, they already know that they're lying. They already know that they're going to fall off, and then they do, inevitably. And then this break in self-trust really does cause problems for people in every area of their life, because every time they say they're going to do something, whether out loud or in their head, and they don't follow through, it just creates a bigger and bigger gap between what you're saying and what you're doing, and it ends up actually having a lot of problems in people's lives, not just personally, but it can often leach out in every area of their life as well. So that self-trust can be such an important foundation for people to build, and it can help to change your whole identity when you have that in place. So let's set the tone for 2026. We're going to come up with one word for our health and one habit to master first. So come up with yours, write it in the comments, write it in the chat section, and let's hear it. For me, one word for my health in 2026 is the main thing that's popping into my head right now is sustainable, and just thinking of things that I can actually do to improve my health that isn't going to take me off any of the other paths that I'm on, because I'm in a pretty good place right now. I feel like things are going in the correct direction. I feel like I have a good family life, a good career. I love helping people and making videos and everything that I do. And I feel that I have good health, very good health, but I can obviously be better at all of those things. But one word for my health is got to be sustainable, because if I pick something that I can't stick to, I know myself, I've done it before, where I pick something that I just can't actually stick to for the long term, and then what happens, we fall off. So sustainable is the one word for my health in 2026. I'm going to choose things that are doable, and not only doable, but there's a trigger for it and everything. We'll talk about, again, the 4 laws of behavior, which will explain a lot of this. But the one habit that I'm personally going to master first, one habit that I'm going to master first when it comes to health specifically, I will say that I'm going to eat 1 fruit or vegetable every single day. And I already probably do this, but I'm going to be more intentional about this, and I'm going to actually make it like a real rule that I follow. That fiber with the vitamins that you need just from a real whole fruit or vegetable is just you can't exchange that for anything else. And I just think that doing that one small thing, that I'll be able to carry it, I'll be able to stay sustainable with it, and I think that habit will pay off in terms of it. More energy, more health, more longevity in my life. So that is what I'm going to aim for. But I also have other goals as well, like, exercise wise, I do want to get back into doing a lot of calisthenics stuff again. And if I can just keep going in that direction with calisthenics, I'll try and come up with a goal or a habit that I can master for calisthenics as well. Calisthenics, if you don't know, is push-ups, pull-ups, dips, those types of body weight exercises that don't involve like heavy weights or anything. They just involve a pull-up bar or like some parallel bars that you can do dips on. I like those the most. They end up looking the best aesthetically on a person's body after a long period of time, and also they just have so many positive health benefits from doing that type of exercise, as well as running. I always like a good run. But that's for me. I'm just speaking out loud here. Obviously, you want to be setting these for yourself. 1 word for your health, 1 habit to master first. Your next step: notice what gives you energy. Start taking note of those things and start thinking about those things. And then focus on 1 small, steady change that we can start making today. Even though it's December 19th, it's not January 1st yet. What is the 1 change that's small and able to be implemented fairly quickly? For me, I'm trying to eat 1 fruit or vegetable every single day. And that's very doable for most people. I mean, if it comes to the end of the day and I haven't done it, I'll just pick up an apple. Boom, problem solved. But, figure out what's something that you can do that would push yourself just a little bit, and that's sustainable for you, but also that is a bit of a challenge, so that you can step up a little bit right now in December 19th. That's going to give you so much momentum and positive clarity and positive energy in the right direction when 2026 actually hits. Even if you just pick the thing now and have it in your mind, and then slowly get used to it, slowly start thinking about it day by day. When it becomes January 1st, that habit will already be thought of. It'll already be partly ingrained. It'll already be top of mind for you, and things will really start to click. So I do believe that starting much earlier, starting like right now, to get everything in order, to understand what you're trying to do in 2026, now in 2025 at the very end. It's December 19th. We've got, 10 days or so? No. We've got, what is that? What do we got? So 20th and then, so 10 days. In 10 days, it'll be the 29th, right? Yeah. And then 31st. So we've got about 12 days, right? 12 days left of the year. How do we focus on 1 small, steady change that we can make in the year and slowly start getting ready to make that change? That's really the goal here, and that's all we're doing. And it doesn't have to be like a lot of pressure, and you're not changing your whole life on January 1st. We're going to slowly roll this out and build a sustainable long-term change for your body right now in 2026. I can't wait to see what happens to you. But here's the 4 laws of behavior change. Number 1, we've got the cue. So the cue is the thing that triggers you to want to do that behavior. And then if you want to do a behavior, it's really important that you have a cue already set up and that you make it very obvious, right? A really easy example of this is to put your clothes out the night before for your exercise, if you're thinking of an exercise type goal or behavior change that you want to do. Another thing, like if you need to take certain supplements, leave the supplements out on the counter right where you'll see them right when you wake up. If you have just think about your life in terms of what you do first thing in the morning. If you have something that is the most important thing ever, maybe do it first thing in the morning and have it obvious. Have it like slap you in the face, not literally, but if it could, that would be very obvious. Make it like dumb obvious, like big blinking sign with red arrows, obvious, and it's way more likely that you'll do it. Even something as simple as, I want to make sure that I clean every day, and so I'm going to leave the vacuum out in my room. Boom, now every time every time I come into the room, I see the vacuum, I vacuum the room before I put the vacuum away, and then it's clean, right? It makes it obvious. You basically have to trip over the vacuum cleaner to get into the room. You're going to end up vacuuming. So that's number one. That's the first law of behavior change. Number two, craving. Make it attractive. Make it something that you want, that you look forward to, that gives you something you desire, even if it's something that sucks in the moment. Like if this is a hard exercise, I just keep going back to exercise because it's very easy for people to understand. We've all been there where we don't want to do an exercise and we have to do it. And we've all been there where we enjoy exercise, usually most of us. And so I'm using exercise as an example machine, not as like the thing that I want you to be doing specifically. But if we wanted to make exercise attractive, we would make it something that we enjoy, that we think is fun, that we think gives us pleasure. I personally like calisthenics. I actually have fun doing pull-ups and trying to do different calisthenic tricks. I think that's really fun. But I also love snowboarding and skateboarding and surfing and swimming and all those types of sports as well. So I know what I like, and I know the types of exercise that I will jump at the chance to get to do, and that's really important and valuable, like that self-awareness, just so you can actually create a sustainable thing. If it's fun, you're way more likely to do it. If you really enjoy it, you're way more likely to do it. But if it's something that is very hard to do, you can simply make it attractive by rewarding yourself during it or rewarding yourself after it. Somehow you've got to dress it up nicely, make it nice and attractive so that you want to do it every single day, and then you'll get so much further with these behavior changes that you're trying to do. The next is your response. So first there's a cue, then there's a craving, then there's a response to that craving, and that response is going to be, so I wanted to exercise, so I left my clothes out. I woke up, saw my clothes. That was the cue. Then I was like thinking about, wow, I'm going to be so happy when I get back from this, and that was the craving. The response is I get in my car, go to the gym, have a good workout, and that's that. Now, the easier the response can be, the better, right? Some people have massive results by simply saying, I'm going to put my running shoes on every morning. And that's the bar. They didn't say they're going to run 6 miles, they're going to run a mile, nothing like that. I'm going to put my shoes on. That's the bar, right? Make it easy as heck. Make it so easy that it's like, well, why wouldn't I do that? If I get that amazing result just from that simple thing, why wouldn't I do it, right? Like if you could put your shoes on and feel amazing about the fact that you put your shoes on every single day and give yourself a little reward because you put your shoes on, that's a win right there. And then you get to celebrate a win for something like putting your shoes on. And that might sound crazy or like it won't work to some people, but I'm telling you, the effects this has long term is what we're looking at, right? Because eventually that person that puts their shoes on, maybe 7 out of 10 of the times they put their shoes on, they're going to actually go complete a full workout or do something they wouldn't have otherwise done, or get in the car and go to the gym, right? So then, maybe 3 out of 10 of the times they don't, but we're looking at averages over time. Our body changes with averages over time. And a lot of things change with averages over time. Consistency, showing up day after day. And this isn't sexy. It doesn't sound good or look good to talk about this, but it's still the truth. So make it easy and you'll do it way more often. So if you leave your supplements out and you even leave them separated in different piles, you could even use a pill case like LymeWars.com. We give you a free pill case with your supplements. You can have them all organized so that you know exactly what to do. You wake up, you open that day, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right, I know you know the days of the week. And you could dump out those pills from that day, take your supplements, and it's so easy, right? Instead of having to try and count each one or like open it and take one out and then open a different bottle, take another one out, you could just have them already set up. That's why we give you that pill case, to make it super easy. So the reward is make it satisfying, right? So after you've done the thing, even if it's something that you don't actually want to do, find a way to reward yourself. Find a way to make it satisfying so that you do it again. So the first three things are to make you do the actual behavior, right? The cue, the craving, and the response are going to help you do the behavior. If you make it obvious, if you make it attractive, and if you make it easy, it's more likely you will actually do the behavior. But the reward is to make sure that you actually do it again, right? So giving ourselves that reward is what's going to cause you to go back and do it again the next day, or at least the next week, or whatever time frame you're trying to hit. That reward is what gets you to do it. For example, I have a friend who never played pickleball. She didn't really like pickleball. She finally started playing pickleball, and she liked it, but it wasn't like the best thing ever. She wanted to get better, but she didn't know how to do that, right? She was new to the whole sport. But she found out that the place that there's this place where there's pickleball, they have amazing drinks, right? So she would play pickleball and then get her amazing drink after she played pickleball. And she kept doing this. And then she noticed she started going to play pickleball way more often, because the reward of that amazing drink at the end is what caused her to go. And so it really all just does come back to these 4 simple laws of behavior change. She ended up getting very good at pickleball. Let's just leave it at that. And she also got some amazing drinks in the process. And so, that reward, that simple thing to make it satisfying at the end, can keep people going on things that they don't otherwise want to do. So these are the 4 laws of behavior change, and I think they're really valuable to keep in mind while we're moving into 2026 and while we're planning for what types of behaviors we want to have in 2026 right now at the end of 2025. So I hope this video helps you. I've got to run because I got to go to my son's little Christmas party thing. And I hope this video helps you out. Let's get ready for a 2026 health reset that's actually sustainable, that we can actually do, that's not insane, over the top, motivational, inspirational garbage that's not actually going to help us over the long term. Let's focus on the long term today and start building in the systems into our life, using the 4 laws of behavior change and stepping up to become a better version of ourselves. My name is Ryan Kearns, and I will see you tomorrow, maybe. Today's Friday, so I'm going to try to get on Saturday. It is difficult for me to make that work, but I'm going to do my best. And then Sunday, I'll try as well. Sunday last week, I didn't come on. This week I might. We'll see. Weekends are difficult for me with everything going on, but I'm going to try my best. And if not, I'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and hit the